Hey, it's Shapes! Welcome to another expedition of the Anime Encyclopedia. I want to make sure that the levels are okay. It's probably a lot. There we go. Again, no camera, and I'm sorry. I've just been really busy the past week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I suppose. It's just been very hectic with my other jobs and stuff. I had my birthday this week. That was fun. All I did was make an AMV, pretty much, and I wasn't even done with it. Took me a while, and I'm still working on it. But I think it's gonna come out pretty good, and it's gonna be in hopefully the video that I'm working on this month. That'll be out sometime this month by the end of November. It's for Pause and Select's November challenge. I still have to finish writing the script for that. Oh my gosh. Hopefully I can kind of crank it. I understand if no one's in the chat. No one's just, I get it. It's a weird time. I'm recording this at 8 o'clock on a Friday. So this will probably be like an hour. So I probably should get started. And if I see anyone in chat, good to see you. Let's get to the notes. So it's just the third edition tonight, and I'm just dealing with, just opinions and then some odd choices. Not that many odd choices tonight. It wasn't such a spicy reading. That's fine though. I'm cool with that. If it means I kind of like shotgun these the last few things, I'll probably be on for a lot shorter, unless some people stop by, which would be great. It's okay. It's fine. I didn't really telegraph this very well. Anyway, so positive reviews. I didn't count how many there are. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 new positive reviews. Pretty good. It's weirder for Europeans. I know. I think it's because like a lot of my like people who follow me, like fans and stuff, are Europeans. So I'm in a I'm in an unfortunate position, I suppose. Well, I could finally make it to one of these. Oh my gosh, you can, Mathwiz. Hello. It's good to see you. It's good to see you too, Greg. Yeah, oh my gosh. Okay, so thank you guys for showing up. Let's get it started. So we got some opinions. It's 12, I said? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11. Black Lagoon they liked. They thought it was a feast. They just was like, it's a bunch of anime tropes and references to old movies, and it's an all-you-can-eat buffet, making it a feast, I guess. So they liked it for once. They have this weird tension where like things are either a ripoff of some other media. They're very media poisoned, which makes sense because they're watching a lot of media for this thing. They're very, very media poisoned, I think, which might affect a lot of their coverage, but it's okay. But in this case, they really liked it. Blue Drop. I had never heard of this show before, and they had a very positive review for it, I thought. They are as well executed and attractive. They also said that the sex scenes are, like the sexual things about it, it's not like a hentai or anything, but like the scenes are actually really tasteful. I actually looked up the OP for this. Let me show you this OP real quick. I just need to mute the lo-fi. I'll try to remember to bring it back in a sec. But I just want to show this OP because I actually was really surprised by it. Kind of sounds like the Mulan, the song from Mulan. It's very low in the mix. This is the only OP I intend to show you guys, don't worry. It's slow. But like, I don't know. They had a very good positives and things to say about it, and like, this is like the good thing that I'm finding from doing the anime. It's like from reading every single entry, is that you would never think twice about some of these shows, and you come across some really interesting stuff. I'm compiling a list, and it's grown in this reading of shows that I'm now interested in. Sorry, guys. Like, it doesn't seem like an insta watch or anything. I'm not gonna say that much, but I don't know. That seemed really interesting, and like I liked the OP for that, and their review is good. It's like the positive reviews is what's really additive and valuable to me. And anytime they talk negatively, but there's a review they'll say later, I'm like, why am I reading this? Like, you're not making it worth it. Which we'll get to. Yeah, but I was like, that's interesting. I like Blue Drop. Body Transfer they were positive of. It's a porn, intriguing series of original ideas for porn at least. That one, like, I guess Body Transfer, they're all trapped in this alternate dimension, and the only way to get out is to have like these sexual feelings, I guess, and their minds are in different bodies and stuff. Okay. Boku Otari Man, like Otaku Salary Man, charming flash animation. They seem to be positive about it, and I don't know, I liked the premise to it, so that was another one that I wanted to look up. Let me just look on Mal for it. I just kind of want to see what it looks like. I try not to look at these Otari Man. Oh, okay, interesting. Very, very minimalist. You can't even get a feel for what the show really is. Well, there's another art for it. Okay, that seems good. Fairly, decently positive anime, ratings. Obviously, it's not great on Mal, but that's because it's obscure. Sure. But I got interested in that one. Bokurano, thank God they were positive about. I think the best thing they say about it is that it was worth a lot more time than some of the rubbish that's been licensed. Which is fair. And they speculate that the reason it didn't really take off in the same way is because it came about after the bubble pot burst for the anime licensing. And so a lot of companies didn't want to touch it. So I think that's a reasonable assumption. But they really liked that one. And they say something else about Bokurano, which is really funny, which I'll get to the odd choices later. Book Girl, fantastic idea. I don't remember if this is one of the ones that got me in. I think it was. Yeah, this is another title that I had not heard of before. Don't worry, not every single entry will be like this. Book Girl. Yeah, this is the light novel. That is right. But if there's a movie, I guess if I click on the light novel, maybe it'll... Adaptation? Okay, Bungaki Shoujo. But there's a movie over there. Okay. So, apparently it's about the girl eats books. Okay. It's not my favorite aesthetic. But they were pretty positive about this one. And it relates to a... actually, this other one relates to... this other... interesting thing to note that I appreciated from them and would have liked to see more of, but we'll get to that later. I'm sorry if there's so much teasing in this so far. I don't want to hop around everywhere in case I lose track or get sidetracked. Box of Goblins, I did not recognize the title, but I recognize the Japanese title, which is Morio no Hako. I'm gonna put this down a little bit. They say it's a proper grown-up mystery, complex, demanding, highly enjoyable. I have heard good things about it. So this once I knew which one they were talking about, it makes sense. I just watched all the Book Girl anime. I didn't like it much. It's out there. Okay. The book eating girl isn't even the focus. Oh. They seem to put a lot of emphasis on it in their entry about it. They're like, "Oh, it's so brilliant. What a great idea." It's like, okay. Maybe they were very fascinated with the concept, I guess. Brave Story. They thought it was charmingly designed, quality animation, and 7 to 10-year-olds. I should put 10-year-olds. Will find much to enjoy. Yeah, okay. Boo Boo Cha Cha, which I talked about last stream, heart-rending indictment of modern times, touching. They seem to really like that one, and I got very interested in this title from their description. Bunny Drop, they liked. Usagi Drop, although of course they have to mention the manga. Of course they have to mention how and they do mourn it that of course I think it's unfortunate that it went that angle and stuff. I guess it makes sense why they would mention it, but it's still beautiful in every way that counts. I think is the best way for them, the best indicator that they liked it. And then Busa Rankin, yeah, I did not know that this was a Nobuhiro Watsuki title. I think I may have heard of Busa Rankin, but like it didn't. It was kind of whatever to me, and not really on my radar. But once I heard it was written by Watsuki, I was like, oh, that's interesting. And it's only 10 volumes, and it's 26 episodes, so I'm like, that probably covers the whole manga. I'm not sure if it does or not, but yeah. They said it was an entertaining slugfest, attractive designs, good animation. Yeah, they were pretty positive about it. Okay, negative opinions. They'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 new duds. Black Widow. They thought it was they all they say about it is a rushed and arbitrary ending. They don't really say much else about it, so I was like, that's the only really opinion thing, and it's a negative. So oh well. Rush style over substance for Blade, like the Marvel superhero. There was like a Madhouse anime adaptation, as they usually do, and they kind of generalize those in their article about it. Style over substance, make basic editing mistakes. Yeah, is what it is. Blam. This is referring to the Flash animation from the 2000s and not the movie. The movie hadn't come out yet. They don't really talk about the manga too much, or compliment it or anything like that. But they just they basically say the Flash animation is an incoherent, poor man's animatrix, which is pretty harsh in my opinion. Oh well. Blaze Blue, generic. Trust us, you have better things to do. Is that the one? Is that the one where they talk about fucking age? Yeah, your lifespan is only blah blah blah. We'll fucking get to that. Oh my god, I hate that argument so much. Blessing of the Campanella they weren't fans of. Everything except the design fails. Some found it less, and then like they were like, oh, I guess some people found it less brain rottingly boring than we did. So they did not like that title. They pulled no punches on that one. Blood's Tribe of Lust. There's no earlier anime, which is a small mercy for them. This is like a torture anime or something, like a hentai bondage torture thing. No, it's an incest thing. There was a lot of bondage in this, and a lot of entries about bondage hentai in this reading. I won't count them. I'm gonna probably do a different count sometime later. Just how much fucking hentai they mention. But yeah, Blood Tribe of Lust is a tribe of lust, meaning like they have this curse, I guess, where all the family members have lust after each other, including like the twins and stuff like that. And yeah, of course. Brainjacker, they call it they mention distasteful crud. Like they kind of just sneak that distasteful crud in there when describing it. So yeah. I didn't appreciate that one. Bridge to Starry Skies. They actually go so far as to say, "What? Go watch Tenchimuyo instead." The granddad of harem anime. They're like, this isn't just a harem anime; it's the harem anime. The most generic story ever told. And it's just like, okay, all right. I don't know. To me, it felt a little low effort on their end. It's like, don't even mention, don't even just move on and talk about just describe the story and move on like you do with a lot of these entries. I do want to make a list of entries that are so bare bones. It's like, why are they in here? As well as a list of titles that they really go out of their way to describe a lot of, and it just happens to be like a lot of, they seem to put more effort into, like kind of their quote unquote higher quality articles, just to give it a sense for people, of what they really kind of put emphasis on and what they don't put emphasis on. Mixed. Oh, sorry. Brighter Than Dawning Blue, mostly harmless is the best thing we can say about it. They go into more detail of like it has rushed and a lot of the generic kind of complaints and criticisms, I guess. Not really worth listing in my opinion. Tezuka's Buddha. There's a couple Buddha anime, I guess, but like this is the one that is based on Tezuka's manga, and obviously they love Tezuka's manga, and this movie just didn't do justice for them. They just keep comparing it to the manga. That's literally all they do. Pacing and storytelling has been lost. Sacrifices too much of Tezuka's magic. It's the same. It's similar to Blackjack's entry, where I really couldn't parse exactly what that Tezuka something is. I don't think they were. I don't think they did a very good job of describing it. I mean, they can certainly say that it was inadequate. It seems inadequate from what it looks like, but it is what it is. I don't know why they're including so much hentai if they don't like it much, with the odd exception. This book is for newcomers. Yeah, I don't know either. I think they're also like the thing is right. The introduction of the first edition. Let me just reiterate what their goal with this is. Despite the worldwide commercial success of Pokemon, many critics still judge anime on the basis of the violent and pornographic titles widely promoted by Western distributors. We have always argued for a broader perspective. Our aim in this book is to show the diversity of anime production in its cultural context and to indicate some of the main trends and creative influences. It makes sense to mention some hentai, probably ones that are maybe important, but it does seem with the Encyclopedia in particular, they are trying to be holistic and try to include as many titles as possible. I'm only a little bit into the Encyclopedia. Like, just finished the B section tonight, and there's no way of really indicating if there are certain titles that they omit in favor of other titles, and how much of it. Like, it does make sense to mention some hentai, but where's the line? You know what I mean? But yeah, it is weird. I've definitely know way more synopses about hentai than I ever previously would have. I'd take it or leave it in that case. I'm gonna play with a little mixing a little bit more. Okay. Let me if that's okay. Bus Gamer is something they were also disappointed in. The short lightweight story doesn't do the manga justice, and like that's how the article ends, and they don't really go into further explanation of what that means, which is unfortunate. You can only speculate, I suppose, but is what it is. Yahoo! Hello, Asaweep. Thank you for joining. Mixed opinions. They had a fair deal of mixed opinions. I was kind of starting to notice. I was having the suspicion that the third edition in particular was trying to be a lot more balanced with their opinions. Like, there's a lot of positively skewed mixed in this one, where like they feel like they have to talk about some of the negatives, like, oh, it has flaws and shit. You don't really get like a full picture of what flawed means in some cases, but yeah, a lot of these are positively mixed in my opinion, but I couldn't feel compelled to put them in wholly positive because they do talk about the cons. Black Rock Shooter they were mixed on. Visuals are excellent but weak writing. All right, there's two different Mario Kata anime that they were very frustrated by, and they weren't fans of the writing. Blade of the Immortal isn't bad. Isn't a bad show. It just can't capture the nuance of the manga, I suppose. Okay. And they do kind of, I think they give it some credit here and there, but in terms of like the visuals and stuff. But yeah, that's kind of the basis of it. It just doesn't do the manga justice in the same way. But they do speak positively of it. Blast Rider, fun. Underdeveloped characters. Itano's work is wasted on this Guyver clone. So they mention it's a Guyver clone, and they talk about how common it is for Itano to work on titles that are way below his weight. Like, he could be doing some really cool stuff, and it's kind of on this like very mediocre anime that he's working on, I guess. But they do say it's fun. They're like, yeah, it's all right. They seem to, yeah. So it was kind of a mix to negative. Blast of Tempest, happy to bite off more than it can chew. And it was bogged down with time. They were just complaining about the time travel and plot twists and whatever, bogged down with this and that. But they did think it was intriguing, I would say. That they do mention intriguing. This intriguing show. Blood Lad. They do say it's style over substance, but they don't really go much further into that. I think they were a little disappointed that it's about vampires. They're so high and mighty about their vampires, man. They really are. They really have a thing for against media that poorly depicts vampires in a way that they don't agree with, I guess. But the Blood Lad seemed more interesting. I knew about that show, and I don't think it's enough for me to be interested in checking the show out, but reading the description was certainly interesting. Bloody Curs. Unfortunately, focuses more on the fighting. The pretty boys are pretty, and you can't see much. Actually, Bloody Curs is kind of a weird article. I kind of want to read it. But let me see real quick, what the, Bloody Curs... Bloody... Okay, let me read that article, because it was a little strange to me. Bloody Curs. Bloody. Bloody Curs. The Third World War. Let me put up the mail for this. I just want to see it before, in case it. Bloody Curs. What? Well, it's not showing up now. Okay. Is it that? No. Let me look up the Japanese name real quick. Togainu no Chi. Okay. Togai. I gotcha. 2010. Okay. Desktop. So this is what they say about this show. Kind of looks like Wolf's Rain a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Huh. Let me read what they say about it. The Third World War is over, but the chaos continues. Japan is divided, and in the cracks in society, the vermin gather. Toshima City is the heart of a massive drug trade controlled by a syndicate chief known only as Ilrei, the king. Normally, Akira would avoid both city and syndicate like the plague, but it's the only way out of a murder frame-up, so he hasn't much choice. If he takes down Ilrei in a fighting tournament, he gets his life back. If not, he won't need it. Based on a boys' love game from Nitro Chiro, the anime follows the game path quite closely, in that Akira meets a range of different guys. Unfortunately, it focuses more on them fighting than anything else. The pretty boys are very pretty, although there's also one of those outrageously camp characters anime loves to flaunt, as if we still need campy stereotypes to make gayness accessible to a mass audience. There are significant glances, suggestive licking of blades, lips, and dog-tag chains, self-consciously hot posing, and lots of atmospheric oblique angle shots, but all the explicit one-on-one action involves weapons and intent to kill. Most people who buy a boys love anime want to see some boys love, and on that score, Bloody Curs fails to deliver. Or maybe it delivers, but we miss it, because as the story progresses, the screen gets darker and darker. Right from the opening credits, predominantly black, red, and shadowed, this is a dark show in every sense. And by the end of it, it's practically Stygian in places, and a visual entertainment that you have problems seeing is a little too experimental. The show is simultaneously streamed on ANN alongside Japanese release. Do they like Vampire Hunter D or Bloodlust? Unsure. We can, if you remind me later, we can go to their open read and find out. It's funny about, or maybe I read it before, I don't remember. It's funny about Blast Rider because there's a Tano interview. I'm pretty sure he wanted working on this title. Yeah, I'm not surprised. He seems like a guy who doesn't just kind of phone it in or whatever. Anywho, I thought it was mixed personally, although reading it out loud seems a little more negative. But meh. Pretty boys are pretty. Maybe that's a shallow compliment. Blue Dragon, they thought it was charming, quirky, disposable, but enjoyable. They were like insistent on it and saying that like it's for kids, guys. It's for kids, guys. You know, like they were giving it all these compliments, but it's for kids, guys. So you know, it's kind of basic. It's for kids. you know, it just seemed really repetitive to me as an article, but seemed mixed to my opinion. Blue Exorcist. They have this really interesting blurb about Blue Exorcist I wanted to read, actually. Based on Kato's 2009 manga, still running in Shueisha's Jump Square magazine, the anime suffers from the fate of many manga-based shows. An episodic plot with an uneven pace and long periods with no action. This is a kiss of death for action anime. Far more problematic than the inconsistent application of Western demonic terminology and nomenclature. Only demonologists care if a high demon's name is used for a low one, but anyone watching cares if they get bored. It's even more annoying when the action that is there promises so much. It's fast, well choreographed, and well animated. So like they mentioned, that's kind of an interesting observation, and honestly something I kind of agree with about Blue Exorcist in particular, as well as also just like a lot of series like this. I think it's very fair, kind of an astute observation, and it's also something I would argue is for Lupin as well. Like, it's an action series, and it doesn't have much action. It's a bunch of standing around and talking. As they say, it's a episodic plot with an uneven pace and long periods with no action. I feel the same about Lupin the Third, frankly. But I thought that was an interesting observation. Now I'm just thinking the opacity of this anime dropping slowly until you can't see anything. Yeah. Kids anime is still kids anime. It's still anime. I know. And you know, they it's weird. They have a good respect for other series, for other kids anime. It's not like they're completely dismissive of kids anime, but I kind of don't know what their deal was with that one. They just seem to be phoning, like they just couldn't deal with that one. Bodacious Space Pirates, uneven but charming series. This is so British of them. British? Writing is so-so and pace is ho-hum. What are you, the Grinch? What are you, Dr. Seuss? I don't know, like the play with words was just really, stuck out to me personally. But they did like it pretty much. But it was just very probably cheeky, playful kind of writing here. Writing is so-so and pace is ho-hum. Who hash? I'm sorry. A Book of Bandora. Let us commence forth. I'm sorry. A Book of Bandora. I keep wanting to roast. I'm gonna hold my tongue for it now. Okay. Book of Bandora. They were pretty wrestled with this one because they seem to really like it, and they have a couple really interesting things that they bring up in this article. It's one of their more colorful, interesting entries in my opinion. But they liken it to raising a teenager. It's charming, exhausting, demanding constant attention. They have a lot of positive things to say about it, but it's just like, oh, so annoying and sloppy here and there, you know? Funny. Bottle Fairy, they were mixed on. I was actually really happy about this because I was afraid they were going to fucking tear it apart, dude. I was so worried. And the reason is because they really like that it's structured on educating young kids about the various cultural things and holidays, but like I think they were a little disappointed that it only focuses on like it's like a mix of historical and modern holidays, but like of course I don't know, like it's okay if they focus on Valentine's Day for an episode and they're like, oh, they have an episode on Golden Week, but that only started in 1948. It's like, I mean, okay. I don't know. I don't think it's a big harm of it personally. Bottle Fairy's handy if sugary introduction to Japanese customs. Yeah. Yeah, okay. I'll take it. Brave 10. I like this show a lot, by the way. It's one of my first. I need to rewatch it, honestly. Brave 10. Some shows are enjoyably bad. This one isn't. It's just mostly disappointing. I think they just see a lot of potential in this one, and it just doesn't live up to them. So I would consider that mixed, personally. Break Blade. No mold-breaking moments, but it's enjoyable and involving with some eye candy. They have decent things to say about it. That's one of the more positively skewed mixed reviews. But again, they kind of want to they really want to twist the knife that it's not original. Like, okay. Batum has its own appeal. There's an unpleasant emphasis on rape and torture. Otherwise, it's good looking. Okay, great. I don't know. I haven't seen Batum myself. I was surprised that they weren't really all that negative about it. It seems like, it's kind of like SAO, but this one has its own thing going for it. I'm like, okay, that's pretty balanced. And then finally, Buzzer Beater, the shorter basketball manga by Inoue, the Slam Dunk guy. And they say comparisons with its precursor, that being Slam Dunk, are unfair. It's a lightweight diversion. It's not trying to do anything crazy. And I'm like, okay. A bit of a backhanded compliment, in my opinion, but cool. I just don't want to, how loud the thing is. No changed opinions this time. That's okay. They're insanely rare. I don't expect them to that often. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely start making a list. I don't know when. I'm just really busy with stuff. I want to make a video and stuff. Whoa, nice visuals. Thanks, Hazel. I wonder who came up with them. Let's go. It definitely, the more that I look at them, the more I do really enjoy it and appreciate it. Even though it's difficult. I don't know if I've mentioned. I haven't mentioned it to you personally, Hazel, or anything. But I got pretty creatively burnt out from it. I think I ended up really being a little too affected by how it performed, which is completely obvious. I understand why it did, but I don't know. I think after that, it kind of bled into other stuff. And it's only now that I'm starting to kind of reconcile those feelings, and I'm trying to be able to move on and be more confident in what I make. Maybe because it was just too good, and it just wasn't appreciated, and so it's just too good, and I'm just God, oh my God, nobody gets it. I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but yeah, I could. It's tough. But man, Possum is so good. This one in particular is really cool looking. Anyway, sorry. Spoilers for Bobobo. Of all things. Why this show? Little too much synopsis. They just keep describing it. And I think they were trying to portray how crazy the show is. But honestly, I don't think they do an incredible job. They do an okay job, maybe. But whatever. And then their deadliest opponent is ... I'm like, dude, why are you spoiling Bobobo? Bobobo. I think I said that right. Yeah, let's go. Brain Jacket. They also spoil. I know they call it distasteful crud. What is distasteful crud? Distasteful crud. Oh, look at this one. Look at the AMV. Brain Jacket. Yeah, the ending implies ... It's okay. Yeah, not much there. Okay. A lot of odd choices of scrolling down a lot. But here's the odd choices. Odd choices for tonight. About 37 minutes. Yeah, this will probably be a shorter stream, an hour and a half or something. That's fine by me. Before I get into that, though, I want to let's do a little positive stuff. So these are titles I'm now interested in. The two new ones, like I said, are Blue Drop and Boku Artori Man. These are generally the ones I've heard of before. I'll probably put a good emphasis on these titles and be like, no, seriously, thank you. I really want to try to be as even-handed as I can when I ultimately talk about this show. Talk about this book. Don't get hung up on viewer count shaves. It's a great project. Oh, I know, man. It's views aren't views aren't shit. But like, yeah, I don't know. It was just like I have to realize that like I have to make stuff simultaneously that I want to make that are for me, but also something that like can get because I do want that. I do want it, people to enjoy it and see it, right? But I have to present it and package it in a way that people will click on it, I can't do this really good art the disservice of putting a esoteric Japanese title over it and like a cryptic ass thumbnail and so YouTube has no idea what to do with the fucking video. Like I'm able to put like do this really good loop on AMV, and not because it's loop on, but because it's at the beginning of this very baity, popular, kind of title and thumbnail and video and stuff, and just putting it as a vehicle for that. I just have to be better than that, I think, if in order for this art to and so that I'm not discouraged ultimately. But you're right, they're really not everything, but it is something I have to consider. Otherwise, my mood does get affected by it, I think. Bono Bada was probably the only other anime that aired on American TV that they probably took the time to fully watch. I don't know if they watched the whole thing. They seem to like watch a good deal of it to describe a lot of episodes, but I don't know if they got through all of it. I haven't seen the show myself. Oh wait, the academics are British. Yeah. Although they do talk a lot about the American side of things, so they're not completely in the dark about that stuff. Anyway, yeah. And then this is Book of Mantora. We're naturally predisposed to love stories like this that emphasize the importance of libraries and like badass librarians. Like this might be a bit of a tongue-in-cheek thing for them, but this actually is them stating their bias. Like they are inclined to like stories like Book of Mantora or Read or Die, and so they're actually showing some bias here, and I'm actually happy that they are. They should be stating that, like, look, we're not the biggest mecha fans, or we're not the biggest this or that and the other thing. I personally really appreciate that, because then I have a very good set of expectations, and I don't just have to find out or guess what their preferences are. I can kind of imply by now that they more respect and appreciate art that has a distinctive utility or purpose, or like it needs to have a plot, for example. They very much care if it has a plot, and if it doesn't, then like what does it do to hold their attention? And I think that it seems that when I say that out loud, it sounds like a very fair thing to say, but it does kind of discount a lot of pretty great art and a lot of pretty great anime that doesn't do those things, in my perspective. I also have to learn the ways of the clickbait. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing that like clickbait is definitely one way to put it, but it's also just like coming up with ideas that people want to watch. Like this was all in like, I'm very grateful that Hazel actually went and joined me on this at all, because it's like it sounds like a crazy person trying to explain all the things that kind of went into how this came about. Really, I'm not gonna make the whole live stream about this, but like, it would be impossible to really articulate. Whereas, if you want to make a Naruto video, as long as it's sort of like you make it somewhat interesting, it'll get attention, right? So it's sort of like I do have to have that mix of stuff that I want to show and talk about and experience, but also maybe through things that are a little more popular. You know what I mean? Try oversaturated image with the text in impact font that are either in blue, yellow, or magenta. I mean, yeah, like an alt-right thumbnail. I mean, unfortunately, I'm quite the stickler with thumbnails. Like, I like them to be kind of attractive. I like to look at them, and it's a nice cover and stuff. But it's hard to find that Venn diagram in the middle. of like appealing on an artistic level and clickable. It is very difficult. Titles, yeah. Anyway, finally gonna move on to some odd choices. Blackmail, localized title change because life isn't difficult enough for the anime encyclopedist. Okay, a lot of these are notes that I'm gonna have to go back to the actual thing to read you the full thing because I have to kind of explain things. That was what a lot of the other thing was. A lot of the other live stream was, and why it went over 2 hours. Subsequently released by, okay, they described the show. It's a hentai thing. Released in the U.S. by New Tech as The Blackmail, Tomorrow Never Ends from 2001, when it was made in 1999 apparently. Subsequently released by Media Blasters Kitty Media under the title Blackmail, because life isn't difficult enough for the anime encyclopedist. This made me think, if you're having such a problem with what to call a show, or like confusing and different and how to categorize it, why not just use the Japanese title, which I'm sure you could come up with examples of titles that have been changed, but it's probably a lot less common than the English localization, right? Like a translation of a title is probably going to be kind of have fluctuations and be kind of different in places. But like if you label this as Kyohaku, that's pretty simple. That probably won't change, right? That's kind of assuming emblazoned in the anime itself, right? And maybe the English localization sometimes, if the anime wants to, it's emblazoned in there too, and then it makes it a little easier. But it's just, to me, it was just like, because life isn't difficult enough for the anime. It's like, you made this difficult. You made it this difficult because you're deliberately choosing English localized titles. And like, I understand. I completely understand why they made this choice, but don't complain about it. In my opinion, at least, like this is entirely your choice. You could avoid this altogether by just doing the Japanese title. Anyway, Blade animation looks cheap with an over-reliance on repeat sequences and still frames. I just kind of had a bit of a sus eye on this when I read this. I was like, because when they say repeat sequences, are they referring to recycled animation, like kind of repeated shots, or are they talking about triple takes? Are they talking about the technique that Osamu Dezaki pioneered that is really common in anime and is a really good cost-effective tool, as well as something that makes it really impactful and interesting? Like, sure, you can maybe have an over-reliance on those things, perhaps, on doing triple takes. Maybe there's one too many of them. But, I don't know. And then the still frames, this sentence made me think, like, oh, so is it like a Dezaki anime and you don't like that? Like, I'm being a little conspiratorial with this. It's probably not the biggest deal in the world. I might not even mention it in the overall video or something. It was just something I wanted to mention here because it was just like, well. A little weird thing, not a big deal. I don't know if any of you read Blam. There's a character named Kibo, which like they write it as Sibo, and then like they write it like this with like the parentheses quote unquote hope, and then I'm like, are you referring to the Japanese word Kibo? And so like this is supposed to be pronounced Kibo, but it's with a C. Is that how it's localized? I don't know. I've never read Blam. Apparently, it's an important character. But that was just kind of weird to me. Yeah, this fucking Blaze Blue thing. Oh my god. Blaze Blue. So this is based on a fighting game anime, I guess, where this is coming from. I only need to read the last paragraph here. Cliched characters, a muddled story, and art and sound that are competent but not inspiring make Blaze Blue a difficult sell despite the popularity of the franchise. It's only 12 episodes, yes, but that's almost 6 hours, and your lifespan is only around 75 years, 2/3 of which will be spent asleep or working. Trust us on this. You have better things to do. Why am I reading your fucking book then? Like, dude. Like, what? Like, sure, maybe there's something that's like, oh, you shouldn't be reading all of it. But, like, if someone's, like, a fan of Blaze Blue and they want to read, like, your article on this, like, you know, like, I hate statements like this. I just do. And just, like the average, your lifespan's only around 75 years. Like, who are you to judge what a person does with their time? You know? Like, you're fucking here making a giant-ass encyclopedia. You know? And we're not going to judge you for that. It's like, you know, your average lifespan is only 75 years. Only 12 episodes. And that's almost 6 hours of your lifespan. If last time I calculated, because I've calculated this a lot, I'm pretty sure it's 4 hours? I could have sworn it was 4 hours. Because 24, because I remember 2 cores is like 8 hours. But let me double check that. So let's say the average episode is 20 minutes. Let's go by their estimate. It's 24-minute episodes times 12 episodes, 288 minutes. Divided by 60. That's 4.8 hours. But like that's like if you watch the OP and ED all the way through, which hardly anyone does. You can totally get these one cores done in 4 hours, in my opinion. It's so weird. Like even if you're rounding up 5 hours, that's not 6. And maybe I'm splitting hairs here. I'm probably splitting hairs here, but like, whatever, man. I don't know. I don't like that argument personally. Like, fuck off. Better things to do with my time. Bleach. Yeah, that Bleach article was a little weird. just a little weird. Let me read it. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. It goes into like the specials and stuff. They don't give their opinion really. So evil soul-eating goblins, known as hollows. Evil soul-eating goblins, known as hollows, possess and destroy people, including the family of high schooler Ichigo Kurosaki. I read that and I'm like, that makes it sound like his whole family got killed. And I mean, no. But it's not entirely wrong, I guess, because one of his family members does. Sure. Ichigo has untapped psychic powers. I guess if you consider, like, seeing ghosts psychic powers, like, yeah, I guess so. But, like, saying untapped psychic powers just doesn't seem right for Bleach, in my opinion. And in an encounter with Soul Reaper Rukia Kuchiki, he gains her powers and transforms into a Soul Reaper himself. He needs Rukia's presence to work the transformation at first, but then he finds a way to put a temporary soul into his own body and transform without her help. Based on Kubo's 2001 manga and Shonen Jump, Bleach is a more magical retread of the quest narratives of Naruto, or a more modern variant on Inuyasha. Okay, I've not read Inuyasha or seen it, but I remember hearing the premise is that they have to collect a bunch of jewel shards. What does that have to do with Bleach? And then a magical retread of the quest narratives of Naruto, as in like the fact that Naruto has missions, even though that isn't entirely really what it's about. I wouldn't say like it's a bunch of missions exactly. It's just not. It's really not the same. Like they do have similarities to each other, but like, huh? Just a little confusing to me. Whichever way you want to play it, it's all been done before. But this series of Exorcism of the Weak gained a loyal and respectful following for its treatment of enemies within, no doubt helped by the early 21st century... Yeah, this is weird. No doubt helped by the early 21st century release of several zombie movies. So, like... the early 2000s had this zombie boom, which isn't even like we consider that a zombie boom. Like, oh my gosh, The Walking Dead in 2011. Oh my gosh, it was everywhere. But I guess we have it, to thank for the zombies, like zombie movies with Bleach. I get it, they're both like undead or something. But like they don't even mention that Soul Reapers in Japanese is they're saying Shinigami. Aren't they? Like I'm almost positive. And like Shinigami is like one way you can translate that is Grim Reaper, right? But like they can't just say Grim Reaper. They have to say Soul Reaper. I don't know why they didn't mention that. Not only people, but also animals can be possessed by malignant forces, leading to a series of mysteries and hauntings reminiscent of Pet Shop of Horrors. At one point, even a possessed parakeet. Right there makes me think, they probably don't, they only seem to experience the first chunk, like the first arc of Bleach. And that's like trying to describe the first chunk of Yu Yu Hakusho, right? It doesn't really get to what you're talking about, I guess. Where it gets to like what defines it, in my opinion. It's a little weird. Cannot count goblins? Oh, they definitely didn't watch Bleach. What? Bleach and Inuyasha aren't similar in premise at all. Ichigo and Inuyasha have big swords, which equals same show. The synopsis is so weird. That maybe watched a few episodes. Exorcism of the Week happens only in the first arc. Sounds like if they're calling it a Monster of the Week type of show, that gets dropped like 16 episodes in. Yeah, no. They do mention the Gote 13. It was they're talking about like the videos, like the little specials, I guess. The Bleach video Memories in the Rain was a flashback depicting the moment that Ichigo destroyed the hollow that killed his mother. It was coupled with a brief 3-minute bonus sequence relating to Gote 13, the Hellsing-like organization that fights the Hollows, and originally shown to audiences in several locations. Oh yeah, the Soul Society. It's just like Hellsing. Oh. All right, okay. What? I mean, look, I haven't seen Hellsing either, but it's not really what I'm thinking, you know. They didn't think that like Shonen Jump, Bleach, like that it could have possibly be like any other Shonen Jump title. I mean, you know, it was funny, one of the proprietors of this trope in Shonen Jump actually is Ginga Nagaraboshi Gin, also in Shonen Jump, around the same time as Fist of the North Star and JoJo. It's similar to Soul Society, where they're split into 12 platoons and they each have a captain, and you get introduced to like 3 captains at once. It's pretty cool. I love shonen anime. They're just like other shonen anime. I mean, yeah. I'm okay with comparing certain shows to other shows. You just kind of have to be like a little more apt and savvy about it, you know? Like I wouldn't like it's foolish to compare the Akatsuki to Soul Society, right? Because it's not the same thing. You know, like yeah, they are like the Soul Society is sort of an antagonistic force, but like the Akatsuki are, if anything, they're a little more like the Arrancar, where they're pretty much bad guys the whole time. And I don't think I'd be too wrong in saying that. But yeah, I don't know. And then you have the South Fist group, the school of the South Fist, those 6 guys. That's an interesting mix, because it's half good guys and half bad guys. I believe it's an even split too, which is really interesting. Anyway, that was kind of the most I got from that. That was just kind of funny and weird. They were pretty respectful otherwise. The original manga continues to run in Shonen Jump, where it is now officially older than many of its readers. Yeah, go, sure. Anyway, that's I don't know if that's supposed to be like an insult or something. Oh yeah, Blue Exorcist. They say, so far so Wicked City. Like, okay, we get it. I get it. You've seen a lot of media. They're very media poisoned in my opinion. It's sort of like, it's like TV tropes brain, very TV tropes. I mean, I guess Soul Society technically has a West branch in London, but yeah. Bokurano, guys, a mecha show that isn't about the machines. It's about character. They literally did the meme. This one's about the characters, guys. No. They were really positive about Bokurano. Don't get me wrong. And like, that's fine. I get what. Let me read their whole thing. Let's see. Yet in one way, he remained totally faithful to the manga, making a mecha action show that isn't really about the machines or the action. It's about character, motivation, and how you deal with an absolutely impossible situation. Bro, watch any other mecha anime. And they have. That's the thing. I know they have. Dude. I hope they don't say that about Ava. I don't know what they're gonna say about Ava. They name drop that show all the time. Who knows, man? Yeah. Studio Bones. Okay, so this hasn't come up very often, but if you didn't know, at least the third edition, but maybe as of the second edition, I'm not sure. I don't have access to the second edition. That's fine. I don't. I'd rather not deal with 3 editions of this. I like the first one and the most recent one. Anyway, let me read the Bones article. AKA Studio Bones, animation company formed in 1999 by a group of animators from Sunrise. Producer Masahiko Mikami, director Shichiro Watanabe, and designer/animator Toshihiro Kawamoto. Notable early works included the dual stylistic successes of Cowboy Bebop, a sci-fi anime without giant robots, in parentheses, and Escaflowne, which crammed giant robots, this is also parentheses, which crammed giant robots into a fantasy show, a feat not achieved so well since Dunbine. Subsequent hits for the studio have included Rosafon and Full Metal Alchemist. That was a little weirdly worded. I know what they're trying to say. That Bones was kind of formed by producer Mikami, Watanabe, and Kawamoto, who themselves are behind Cowboy Bebop and Escaflowne. But the way that's worded, that says notable early works included the dual stylistic successes of Cowboy Bebop and Escaflowne. It literally makes it sound like Studio Bones made Cowboy Bebop and Escaflowne. You know, instead of Sunrise. I don't know. Such novelty, much wow. What do they say Karikano is like Ava but without the mecha? I have read their Karikano article, but I'm pretty sure they don't say that. At least I'm pretty sure they don't. I'm glad they're positive about Bokurano, but damn, I can't even name a mecha that's actually more about the mecha than the characters. Like, how would that even work? I don't know. They made Bebop and Escaflowne movies. Okay. Say less. They don't specify. Into a fantasy a sci-fi anime without giant robots, and Escaflowne, which crammed giant robots into a fantasy show. So at least Escaflowne, they are talking about the show. It does make it sound like, but fair. If they worked on the movie, that's probably what it was. They just didn't specify that. Book of Mantora. There's no shame in borrowing from the best, especially when the ingredients are mixed in such an interesting way. The audacity to say this. There's no shame in borrowing from the best, when so many of their complaints are about other shows ripping off other shows. It's this all over again. So far, so Wicked City. We've seen this before. It's been done before. There's no shame in borrowing from the best. How can you say that? Either you're fine with media that is naturally derivative or spinning off of a particular idea or is like other media, or you're not, cool with that. I don't know. It's just, they seem so frustratingly back and forth with this situation, with this issue. Like calling things like, where's the line of being like, wow, it's like Evangelion, it's like Zero Experiments Lane, wow, and being like, Ava clone, am I right? Where do you make the distinction? You know, it's frustrating. Hopefully Tomino watches Bokurano on his 80th birthday so we can finally make a mecha anime about characters. Yeah. Yeah. BPS, they had a sign at the Times that the anime audience is now so sedentary and housebound that its latest action hero is a man sitting at a desk. So I guess this is about like a hacker, like a guy who just kind of heists things from like hacking from his desk or whatever. And again, it's another. I'm just like clipping this. I'm clipping this so that I can have another example of them having pretty open contempt for anime fans. Like, oh, is the modern are we so sedentary and housebound? Like, how judgmental do you have to be? Really? I don't know. It's just a weird dig on the fans and stuff. It's not they don't even really give their opinion on the show. They just have to sneak that in. Like, oh, well, good, look at this. Now that this is popular, well, what's next? Umaru-chan? Oh, God. Brighter Than Dawning Blue. Infant sweethearts reuniting was done better in Urusei Yatsura, where Ataru shares said bond with several girls. So, like, when you're childhood, like, very small kid, and then reuniting when you're a little older and falling in love like that and having that connection was done better in Urusei Yatsura. I think they're just referring to Only You. I'm pretty sure that's the only, if I can remember at least, I'm pretty sure that's the only movie where this trope happens. And then it's just that character and Shinobu. But like they don't even go that far back and like depict childhood friends like that. They do show the childhood of Lum and what is her name? The pink-haired girl, Ron? Yeah, Ron. Lum and Ron. There's several scenes depicting their very, very young infant, quote-unquote infant childhood and their relationship. But that isn't about, first of all, that's about their friendship and why it's so sour now, or why it's complicated as it is. And second, what's the target audience here? For the book, I'm pretty sure it's like it's a Venn diagram between newcomers, people who don't know anything about anime, and hardcore fans. So it's not really for either of them. It's sort of that cross in the middle where people are just getting into it. They like anime, but they want to know a little more about it. It's sort of that cross section, I think. I think they make it clear in their introduction a little bit better, but I'd have to read it again. But really, it's not for hardcore fans. It's for people. It's to show people that there's a broader perspective. I want to skim the introduction a little bit. Sorry if I'm not saying much. reading to see international releases, formats, and I think they also explain it in down maybe they do here. This is my notes from their appearance on Anime News Network, the Ancast, where they're promoting the 3rd edition. Maybe they only watched the first few episodes so they wouldn't know Shinobu gets shipped with Mendo. Yeah, that, but also I can't even think of any scenes with Shinobu and Ataru as childhood friends. And then every other girl that Ataru meets, he meets for the first time in the context of the show when he's an adult, when he's older. I don't know what they're talking about. Not even Lum. He doesn't even have that with Lum. The first Thursday asks for a movie promising to marry this other alien girl. And she goes, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The first movie has that. Is that what they're talking about? But they still say shares this said bond with several girls. Do they literally just mean the one girl from the first movie and Shinobu? I don't know. It just seems weird to talk so down on anime fans if you're going to be getting people into anime. I agree. I don't understand. And maybe the self-deprecating and the digs at anime fans was a lot more commonplace back then, and maybe they are just trying to like embrace or accept that moniker, right? And or in order to maybe like have some self-awareness and try to improve themselves so they can better reach a more mainstream and like civilized audience. Or I don't know what they were trying to do, or maybe like the cynicism. When I'm speaking and talking about this out loud, it reminds me of the cynicism my boss talks about that he's since been able to overcome and kind of get over. Like he had this very he had a very similar kind of like I don't want to speak for him, of course, but the attitude they share here sort of reminds me of what he would go through and what he was sort of like back then, and he's since matured, and he's since been able to kind of find an inner peace and a self-acceptance. I think he said that he was a very self-loathing nerd kind of thing. Again, I don't want to speak for him. I think the paragraph at the end maybe it gives what they. Okay. We have done our best to pick the most. Despite this, we are confident that every anime fan in the world can learn something from this book. A quarter of the titles we include have never been discussed in the West before, while details on foreign treatment of anime are absent from Japanese sources. If there's anything that will date this encyclopedia in years to come, it is the absence of interactive animation. Oh, I see. That's what's going to date it. Anyway, that's kind of... yeah. But, like, I wanted to, like, kind of look through my notes, perhaps, but I'll look at that later, I think. I'll try to understand and see if they make an express who are they making it for. Because I'm starting to have a crisis of faith. I could have sworn it was kind of somewhere in the middle. The self-deprecation is still commonplace, guys. I could do it a lot. Exactly. I do think it's very common for anime fans. Because we want to just try to feel better about ourselves, I guess. It could come from that. It's interesting. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, Brighter Than Darling Blue and do. Yeah. So I mean, no new takeaways, I don't think. I did have this one, and I think I mentioned it in the previous stream. The usual format is anime first, then perhaps what it's based on. So like they describe what the anime is about, and then they'll be like a manga by such and such, or based on this and this, and where it came from. If they consider the source, this is a hunch and kind of a potential trait. I have to substantiate it more. If they consider the source material to be more important or perhaps superior, they will mention the source material first, and then they'll be like, "Oh, and then it got an anime." I think there's a trend there. And I was noticing that with Blackjack, Dear Brother, and Golko in particular. Guess what those three have in common? Yeah. Not mad, not salty at all. Not salty at all. Anyway, yeah, it's about an hour and 13. I figure it is a little shorter, and so I'm pretty much pretty much got pretty much got that settled. But now it's time for open read. I know we wanted to check out the Vampire Hunter D article, and I could have sworn I may have checked it out earlier, so I apologize, documenting self, that I've already done this before. But let's search Vampire Hunter D. D. Vampire Hunter D. Okay. 10,000 years in the future, humanity lives in a quasi-medieval society, overrun by the vampires who keep them in a state of feudal subjugation and terror. When Count Lee claims Doris as his next bride, a mysterious cloaked stranger in a big hat, known only as D, rides into town on a huge horse and saves her. The townspeople who want to give her up to pacify the Count, but Doris has fallen in love with her vampire hunter savior. D has to clean out the nest of vampires, but he's not without problems of his own. His hand has an independent life and nags him mercilessly, and his own background as a half-vampire is the cause of much inner conflict. The film is based on a long-running series of novels by Hideaki Kikuchi, who also created Winds of Amnesia, Wicked City, and Darkside Blues. I actually didn't know he wrote Wicked City. That's sick. Despite the Hammer horror trappings, at heart, Vampire Hunter D is more like a vampire western. The character designs based on Amano's illustrations for the novels may entice lovers of his smoky, elegant watercolors and Baroque game characters, but they were radically simplified to cut animation costs, with only traces of the artist's hand remaining, mostly in still frames. Based on Kikuchi's third novel, Demon Death Chase, and first shown unfinished and unedited as a work in progress in the Fantasia 2000 Festival, a second film, Bloodlust, was directed and scripted by Ninja Scroll's Yoshiaki Kawajiri. D, revealed as a half-vampire or dhampir, is one of several hunters hired to rescue Charlotte, the daughter of a wealthy family, who has been kidnapped by a vampire. But she has fallen in love with her captor. Does he kill them both, or allow her to escape the misery of human life and flee to another planet with her lover? Characters are designed by Yutaka Minawa, monsters by Yasushi Nirasawa, and animation by Madhouse. Wow. That's it. I don't even think they gave their opinion on that one. The character designs may entice lovers of his smoky, elegant watercolor, but they were radically simplified to cut animation costs. That's not really an opinion. That's not really an opinion, really. At least compared to what they are actually their opinion. Ooh, Wicked City. The anime has brought us the Castle of Cagliostro. The anime that brought us the castle. Ooh, Wicked City. The anime that brought us the Castle of Cagliostro. Sheesh. Yeah, they don't give an opinion on that one. They don't even try to insist that it's like important in the canon or anything. They probably don't believe that. Interesting. Considering how much they cited it, I guess. Maybe they don't cite it that much. Let me read the first edition. Maybe there's something else. That was the third edition that I just read. Oh my god. It's a longer article. Vampire Princess Miyu has a longer article than Vampire Hunter D. Great. Not that I want to split hairs on that, but like, oh, great. I'm just scanning to see if it's the same article. Ooh! There is an opinion in the first edition. Technically, it's showing its age. But a US-Japanese co-production planned for release in 2001 may fare better among modern fans. And then they go into the same paragraph and they don't change it. They cut that line. They just kind of cut that specific line. That's interesting. Cool. Good catch. The vampire in Bloodlust isn't actually her captor, and they didn't seem to care about spoilers because they say she falls in love with him. Oh, I mean, I don't consider that too bad of a spoiler. But she has fallen in love with her captor. Does he kill them both, or allow her to escape the misery of human life and flee to another planet with her lover? I mean, that's there's a lot more you can spoil than that. Like if you go into like the rival hunters, they don't mention the rival hunters at all. Wait, no, yeah, one of several hunters hired to rescue Charlotte. They don't really go into that, or what the ending is. Like they don't explicitly say, so it's not too bad. I feel like that's something you can put on the back of the box, and it wouldn't be too bad, personally. Yeah. Does anyone else have any any anime from that start with the letter B that they'd want to see me? They'd want to hear about and see what their take is, and me reading it and stuff. I'll give a couple minutes of that. Oh. Vampire Hunter D is getting English audiobooks, by the way. I don't know if there's paperbacks I can get. I should look. Yeah, it sounds awesome. Yeah, let me know if you guys want me have any particular B's in mind. New omnibus starting from the beginning of Vampire Hunter D just came out this week. Cool. Yeah. B. A B. Sorry, I had the Umineko OP in my head. Can you read the Betterman section? Yeah, let's read about Betterman. I'm pretty sure I may have read it in a previous stream, but that's okay. Not too long. The year is 2006. Keita Aono is a bespectacled schoolboy in Yokohama who is surprised to meet childhood sweetheart Hinoki Sai when she transfers to his school. The rainbow-haired Hinoki now works for Akamatsu Industrial Company, AIC, as in the anime studio, piloting the large robots called neuronoids. These machines run on a kind of artificial blood called linker gel, and patch directly into their pilots' nervous systems. When Hinoki's fellow pilot, Cactus, is killed in a battle with monsters called Algernons, Keita is talked into taking his place, and discovers that he is one of the rare dual kind, able to synchronize almost perfectly with the complex machine. He becomes a full-fledged pilot, though Hinoki's activities alongside him are often suspiciously supported by Betterman Lamia, in quotations, a man with the same hairstyle as her and an uncanny ability to turn up in the nick of time and save the day by transforming into the bioweapon Betterman Nebula. In the grand tradition of Gundam, Sunrise filed the serial numbers off its standard story template and punched it out again post-Evangelion. Evidence, if ever there was required, that 2 years after you do something in the anime business, you can do it all over again and nobody will notice. I mean, I think that synopsis seemed pretty unique. I thought that sounded pretty interesting. And they're like, you just file off the serial numbers on that one. Oh, we've seen it before. See what I mean? They're just very media-pilled. I just watched the last episode of it. Did they mention the vampire episode in Cyber City Oedo, also Kawajiri? Probably. I can go look at it. Also, they seemingly have no idea that this is connected to the Brave franchise. Betterman, that is. Oh, Cyber City. We'll probably get to that very soon. Oedo. 3 loosely linked tales of a cyberpunk stripe. Yes, they definitely talk about the third mission because they go. I literally just see the paragraph here, and it's like, for the first mission, the tough guy Sengoku must fight his way into Let me read what the third one is about. The final The final episode, Bloodlust, originally Crimson Medium, retitled The Vampire in 2004, focuses on Benton, the androgynous dandy who must track down a vampire who is using a beautiful android to entice young victims into his lair. The final showdown in a cryogenic chamber, i.e. coffin, at the top of a space elevator, neatly encapsulates the old/new culture clash of the series. The pretty boy crossdresser Benton. Wait, he's a crossdresser? Wait. When was he a... I don't remember that. Is he a cross... Wait. I'm not, like, upset or anything. I'm just, like, confused. I don't remember that. That seems like a pretty like, significant detail, in my opinion. Like, at least significant enough to mention it. The pretty boy crossdresser Benton. I don't remember that. It's inspired by a popular character from the 19th century, the protagonist of the kabuki play Benton the Thief. Since the characters are all carry jite, parrying weapons, modeled on those used by samurai-era police, and the titular 808 recalls the 808 districts of Old Edo, we can assume that the anime was originally intended as a sci-fi pastiche of old stories, possibly in the style of Samurai Gold, which never quite got off the ground. It's just one of those several superior video serials from creator Juzo Mutsuki, whose Phantom Quest Corps and Devil Hunter Yoko were similarly luckless in their quest for TV remakes. Alright. Interesting. Betterman is closer to X-Files than Gundam. Every episode has a different horror theme with biological solution to defeating the enemies. Gao Gaigar vs. Betterman is in Super Robot Wars 30. He's just feminine. Dude is just into glam rock. Yeah, I don't remember... I just don't remember him cross-dressing. That's just so weird to me. Like, why mention that? I don't know. So that was something. Well, I want to make this around an hour 30 minutes. I'm very weird in particular like that. Although I don't know how long that. Let me see how long the actual stream's been going. Ah, there we go. Hour and 23 minutes. So at least according to that, I got about 7 minutes, but it's because I'm about 2 minutes behind. At least in difference of time. It's okay. I'll try to make it around that time. I'll make sure I'll try to do the overscreen and stuff. Anywho, tell Mr. Wolf that Duncan lives at. Yeah, I'm happy that the peak is kind of consistent every time I stream. That's awesome. Anybody else have any potential article, entries they'd like me to read? And don't worry about, we can go back to A and B if anyone happens to, unless we've read them before, which I should probably have I should probably put a separate list somewhere on here, somewhere on my notes section, about like titles I've read on stream, and I can indicate like the number here of like what stream it was, so I can tell people to go to that VOD or something, and it's probably timestamped too. What vampires do they like? Bram Stoker is my guess. I think they seem to be very purist. This is the North Star is totally glam rock. Oh yeah. Dum doo 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 doo. Bum ba doo boo bum 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 bum. Sick. I was thinking of doing a video for the Novid about Fist of the North Star, but it wasn't really what I was I don't know. I wasn't as into it. I mean an anime. I don't know. I guess we'll certainly find out, I suppose. They seem to have a lot to say about Princess Vampire Princess Miyu or something. Is there a section on Bakugan Campus Guard Dress? Let's see. I'm going to Control F that. Bakugan. Just Control Fing Bakugan. Bakugan Campus Guard Dress. Yes, they do. They have it listed as Exploding Campus Guard Dress. They do have an article on it. If you'd like me to read it, I could do that. I wonder if Tokimeki Memorial is even mentioned. Let's find out. Tokimeki. 7, yes. there are 7 mentions in the book. Well, no, not of Tokimeki Memorial in particular. There is an article of Tokimeki Memorial, the OVA, I guess, is what it is. They do Tokimeki Memorial. They mentioned no Tokimeki Tonight, Tokimeki Memorial. They do mention Tokimeki Memorial in their article, their long essay of erotica and pornography. They do mention Tokimeki Memorial in there. And then in A, they do mention After School Love Club Etude. They mention it's in the same genre as Tokimeki Memorial. So yeah, fair enough representation. I remember watching an anime that was referencing Tokimeki Memorial. I can't remember which one. Yeah. We'll probably get to Exploding Campus Guardress when we get to E. But yeah, I think this'll do it. Anyone's got any last minute stuff? But like, da. Happy Friday, homies. Hey, good to see you, Sudie. Really good to see you. I'm sorry I'm going off stream in a few minutes, but yeah, we're having a good time. This was a shorter stream, honestly worth warranted because the past few streams have been going overtime. I think we had some fairly interesting stuff, but nothing too especially hot this time. We talked about Bleach. That was fun. Their article on Bleach was a little silly. Till next time. Yeah, so about an hour and 30, at least according to my stream here. So I think I'll hold it off there, and I'll end the stream when it gets around hour 30. This has been a great stream. Thank you so much, Asuweeb. I'm so glad you joined me. Tune in next time, folks. I think people are starting to bow out. Fair. Alright, I'll stop holding your ears. I hope to see you guys next week. I don't know if it's going to be Friday or Saturday. I'm sorry I've been so inconsistent. I'll also try to get a cam. I don't know. No worries, I'll watch the VOD. Appreciate it, man. Alright, you guys have a good week. Yo, peace.